What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another SlabStox Live here on the SlabStox YouTube channel. My name is Aaron, joined by Nate, and this is our last episode of 2022. First of all, I just want to say thank you to anyone that's listening right here live, listening on podcasts later, has joined any episodes of any kind here on YouTube or followed our Instagram content or Daily Slab newsletter throughout this year. It was a really great year. Obviously, cards kind of did a lot of different things. Some cards went up, a lot of cards went down, but a lot of you all stuck here talking to us every single Monday. Today's Tuesday, obviously, but every single Monday, and then also reading our newsletter and commenting on Instagram posts, which is awesome to see. So we appreciate all of you a lot and excited for today's episode, which will be the biggest 2023 questions prompted by you all, the audience on Instagram. That is, I had a lot of different questions that came in today to base this stream off of. So Nate, welcome to the last episode of 2022.
Heyo, quick year, super quick year. Also,
Yeah.
This camera seems pretty good, actually. I don't think I've ever used the webcam on the Mac, but it's not bad.
Nah, you're looking prime right now, my guy.
That's right.
Very excited for today's episode. We already have some people in the chat. Hector and Alexandre, thank you so much for coming. Looks like Alexandre is going to be getting his 2017 top of the class PSA 10 Buffon soon, so congrats on that. And Hector's got a few questions we can dive into later for sure. Might answer a couple of those throughout the stream, but we will see what's up. And if anyone has any questions throughout the stream, feel free to drop them in the chat. And if you're watching the episode too, feel free to drop in the comments of the stream your thoughts and either questions that we had asked to us or other people's questions in the comments as well. It might help get as many thoughts out as possible and also help get more questions answered. Before getting into the questions, just want to highlight the 3 cards on the podium from PWCC Weekly Auction on Sunday night. Closed on Christmas, but 3 1-of-1, sold for a lot of money, all over $8,000. I can't tell if that 2018 Mahomes is on card. I want to say yes, but it kind of looks like it could be a sticker too with the placement of it. Do you know that, Nate?
I don't.
Well, I know the Maxi's a sticker. I know the other 2 are on card,
Yeah.
the Griffey and the Trout. But they all sold for around 8.7K to 10.2K, and we asked what was the best bang for the buck, and the Mahomes and Griffey and Trout pretty much tied. No surprise here. Best quarterback in the NFL, pretty much. One of the coolest dual autos I've ever seen in my life. And then you have a Tyrese Maxey, 1-of-1 rookie sticker auto.
The only rookie.
What?
The only rookie on the list.
Yeah, true. And while it's a cool card, it doesn't, in my opinion, measure up to the other 2. But like Nate said, the other 2 aren't rookies. So it kind of shows you not always the rookie cards get the most action. All right, let's just jump right into the questions for today because there's a good amount of them. And I want to make sure we get all these answered plus ones that come in live during the stream. Ian Wilsey asked, how high of a serial number is too insignificant? Does it differ by sport? Nate, you kind of put a preview image here of the Wander Franco Gold. And why don't you lead off, and then I'll go into the next things.
Yeah, so I was trying to think of the highest numbered cards I could think of. And outside of Topps Now sets, where they're numbered out of, or the Topps or Topps Project 20 sets, right, that they're numbered drastically. The highest
those are print runs too, not really serial numbered.
What do you mean?
Like they don't serial number the back of those cards. It's just a stated print run.
I get you. Okay. So yeah, so they didn't even serial number those. So then the highest I could think of off the top of my head was the golds from Topps. Can you think of anything higher than 2,000 plus?
Maybe like a long time ago they numbered stuff like super high, but like nothing recently that's numbered that high. Normally They just don't number them at that point.
So yeah, so and still golds sell pretty well, all things considered. Now obviously they're hard to hit. They've got millions of Topps cards out there and only 2,000 of each guy. So they're few and far between for the players you want to hit. But even golds have been trending down in price to the point where I think people are saying to themselves, it's really not that rare if there's 2,000 of them out there, 2,000 plus, 2022 now, 2023 next year, so on and so forth. I don't know. I also think that maybe out of $9.99 for the Topps Chrome or Topps Heritage Chrome base Chrome cards are maybe a bit high. So I would say like 500 and lower is good for me, but anything higher than that, I'm kind of disinterested in.
So a PSA 10 of the Gold Wanderer, number out 2022, not the rookie debut, but the Series 1, sold for $490 recently. And we got the Father's Day Blue 50 BGS 9 for less than that. And I'd way rather have the Father's Day Blue BGS 9 for less than the PSA 10 Gold 2022. Now, for my side of this answer, I looked at this from like a different by sport perspective that Ian brought up. And on the screen here are 3 different cards, all numbered out of 150. The Shay's actually out of 149, but close enough. All relatively numbered out of 150. Not Wander. Ronald Acuna, Blue Refractor Auto PSA 10 first Bowman. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, Purple Ice of 149 PSA 10. And then a Kevin De Bruyne 2021 Merlin Chrome. That is a Speckle Auto of 150. So the rarity is all the same. However, the perception is way different. You got the card on the left, which is the Ronald Acuna, which is like the cream of the crop, numbered out of 150. And it matters a lot. Then you have the Shea, which I would say, yeah, it's numbered in Prism. It's a hobby pull. It still matters, but not as much as like the Acuna does. And then you have the De Bruyne, while a sick card, a nice card, a fun card, the market perception is not very high in it compared to, let's say, like one of his sticker rookies or like a numbered out 25 orange auto. Yeah, Nate.
I like what you're doing here, but I would say that if we're comparing them, it would have to be like a Bowman's Best blue.
No, but my point is that the serial number I think is almost irrelevant because it's not irrelevant.
It depends on the set.
Yes,
depends on the set.
Yes, exactly. It's very relevant, but it's irrelevant because it completely depends on the set, and it's hard to just say 500 or less, 150 or less, 200 or less, because you get the same serial number card, but some matter way more than others, like the Acuna versus the De Bruyne, and then the Shays in the middle. And then you've got a card like the Curry, numbered out 500 PSA 9 from 2009 Topps Chrome Refractor. Like out of 500 is a lot when you think of it in the grand scheme of things in today's market. But back then, like that's a very rare card for Curry. It's one of his best cards of all time. It's like a $20,000 card. And there's over three times as many of that as this specific De Bruyne Speckle Auto. So it's all relative to the set, to the card, to the player. And then you've got a Purple Mojo Leaf Metal Jordan Walker Auto numbered 5 out of 7. It's a $55 card, but Nate, to you, this card means nothing, even though it's numbered out of 7.
Correct.
There's a million other first Bowman Jordan Walkers you'd rather spend $55 on, probably even as much as like some type of refractor number out of $4.99 or something.
Honestly, a base refractor PSA 10 from Bowman Draft is probably more expensive than this, right?
Yeah, no, I'm sure it is.
And I like that you bring that up because I was just solely thinking baseball, like instantly baseball this. So $4.99 Bowman Chrome, and refractors from Topps Chrome and yada yada yada, or purple out of $2.99 from Topps Chrome, anyways. And so I hadn't even like given a second thought to anything else, but it is a fair point that there's like if you're a Jordan Walker fan, you want a cheap auto, low number, this is a great deal. But for those of us that aren't like Cardinals fans, it's like why would I waste $55 on that? I can spend that elsewhere.
Like this card doesn't move me at all. Yet I think it's like $35 shipped on this Reese James numbered out 49 match use, like 2-color patch or dual patch, 2 different blue shades.
Did Chelsea win today?
We did. We won 2-0. Mason Mount, huge goal from outside the box, but sadly Reese James got hurt again at the 53rd minute. So it's very bleak once again in the future if he's not healthy. The game was completely different once he went out. The entire attack runs through him. So if he's injured, we're not going to get Champions League. If he comes back in a week or two, we still have a chance.
You're still probably not going to get Champions League.
No, I think we have a legit chance. We haven't lost a single match when Reese James has played on a Graham Potter. I'm serious. It means that much. He's Giannis to Chelsea. He's literally Giannis to Chelsea. Just being honest. Lynx says, finally here for live. What's good, fellas? Or actually, what's goody, fellas? Well, lots goody. I'm excited to be here. And Mike says, what's up, fellas? I'm not going to explain, or I'm not going to say what he says after that, because it has to do with the Vikings.
Hey, we beat them next week. We beat the Lions, and the Commanders lose a game. We're in the playoffs.
I know. I'm not getting ahead of myself, but I'm pretty excited. If the defense can play like we did in the second half, even a little bit worse, we might be in a good spot. If to play like in the first half, we're not in a good spot. And also, I gotta say, Nate, for as much as all of us have ragged on Joe Barry this season, who knows what happened with Tua with a concussion, but the adjustments were good. Actually, adjustments mid-game, I was blown away.
Yeah, well, the Rasul Douglas interception was nice. Baited him into that. The other one was just an overthrow by Tua.
I know.
And the other one was just Tua not seeing Devondre Campbell. And those two, I'm pretty sure you can contribute to the concussion he suffered at the end of the first half.
Hey, I don't disagree with you. All I'm saying is that they didn't even before. Yes, I get that happened in the first half, but there's no points coming up for them in the second, regardless of the interceptions in the last 3 drives of the game. Bobby Smith says, with the lack of big name rookies coming out in NFL and NBA, what keeps the hobby going? We can talk about the second part in a little bit, but the first part, lack of big name rookies. So NFL 2022, yes, the biggest name in NFL 2022 rookie class is crazy enough the last pick of the entire draft. Obviously, we're talking about Brock Purdy, which is just wild. It's I can't even really put that together in my brain because normally you have 5 first round quarterbacks or 3 first round quarterbacks or 2 first round quarterbacks drafted in the first 15 picks that obviously are commanding a lot of money from the start. His cards blew up, in December, late November. And I think for Panini's sake, I mean, it's like, holy cow, they got freaking saved by this name as of now.
Mhm.
They had no marketing tactics for their releases for 2022 football
No.
at all.
And they really still shouldn't because, come on, Brock Purdy's going to keep his job next year once Trey Lance is healthy? I doubt it.
Well, let's see what happens with them. I mean, you never know.
You never know, but that would be pretty bold, giving the 7th round, the last pick in the draft, the reins when you just spent the 3rd pick a year prior on a guy, and you say, kick him to the curb.
I need to trade up for that guy too.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with you from this fact of like using him as a selling point. I mean, yes, people are spending crazy amount of money as cards, but there's a chance we look up 3, 4, 5, 6 months ago and we say, wow, these cards are back down 80% from their peaks because there's random Panini blacks, not even autoed, $1,450, $1,450 selling for like today of Brock Purdy. Number out of 5, it's Panini black. This is not Prism. This is not Contenders auto out of 5. This is insane. Like this is insane stuff. And then as for the NBA, biggest rookie for their 2022 class is Paulo Banchero. He's kind of proven Nate wrong right now. He's doing pretty well. I always thought he's going to be a solid NBA. What do you say? I
said I wasn't a believer.
I know, but hey, I get where you're coming from, right? Like Duke scoring first, kind of bigger guy that doesn't really have a position like Jabari Parker. Like
to be fair, Jabari Parker colored almost all of that opinion.
Exactly. That's why I'm bringing it up. But Banchero's playing well, and he doesn't have any, real NBA cards to have released yet, but he did have his Chronicles draft picks come out and a gold optic rookie out of 10. So for $600, all I gotta say is no matter how good Paulo Banchero is in his career, the odds that this thing sells 6 months, a year, 2 years from now for $600 is extremely low. Once all the supply comes in the market with the NBA jerseys and everything, it's probably gonna go down a lot. But what I'm trying to say here is that, like, yes, the draft classes are clearly weaker, especially in the moment, given that Chet's hurt and not doing anything to get people excited about the NBA class, more so than it could be. And NFL is obvious reasons, lack of offensive talent or just impact players in general, I guess, like quarterbacks mostly. I don't think that that's going to be like, this is what I'm trying to say. I hope that the product, Nate, is priced accordingly to where the hobby's just going because there's cheaper product to rip. But do I think it's going to happen? I don't know. I mean, if Panini walks out,
that's not going to happen.
If
you don't
Panini
even have to say,
out,
I don't know. You know for a fact Panini will go and they will get every dollar they can, and they will not care if the top product in the set sells for less than, or the top name in the set sells for less than the box price.
But that's how it should be. It should the product should change as the draft class has changed. It should. But Nate says, will it? Probably unlikely unless they I guess realize that. I think what's just going to keep the hobby going in 2023 is like everything that has up to this point in 2022. Obviously, there's been a lot of price drops in different cards. The community, the excitement, the hobby, the passion, all that stuff is going to keep the hobby going. A couple of down draft classes isn't going to make the biggest deal in the world, in my opinion. If anything, it'll help you buy better deals on the secondary market. And then on the flip side, too, I think, come 2023, when the man named Wembanyama comes into the league, stuff will get crazy. And Scoot Henderson also. So that's for NBA at least. And NFL's got a lot of quarterbacks coming out next year too, between Bryce Young and Will Levis or Levi. I don't know how you pronounce his name, from Kentucky. What's up, Jason? How you doing? Really appreciate you joining and watching all Nate's daily slabs and enjoying the content. It means a lot. Rage Collectible says, how much farther ahead is Mbappe to Holland now that the World Cup is over? So just purely on the soccer itself, the football, Mbappe's career is like very far ahead of Holland's from a achievement standpoint because he's obviously won a World Cup. He's appeared in a second final, and he's only 3 goals away from the all-time World Cup scoring title. He's 3 away from Miroslav Klose on that title. And Holland is not going to reach that unless he drops like 10 goals in the next World Cup and then makes the next one and drops it again. Um, Holland is obviously going to score the most goals this year in the 2022-2023 season as long as he stays healthy. However, the whole market for each of them is it's confusing. I gotta say it's confusing. Mbappe has a lot more options out there, I'd say, between rookies that people collect with 2017 Select, 2017 Topps Chrome, 2016 Panini Foot, 2018 Prism World Cup. There's a lot of Mbappe options out there, which I think has the individual card prices lower than what they would be if his like supply matched Holland. Holland doesn't have a whole lot out there, but he's got Topps Chrome, Champions League, Top Sapphire, Champions League, Bundesliga, finest, a few other products, but not the same as Mbappe. As you can see, the green line is Holland. That's his refractor PSA 10 from Bundesliga. It's at like $4,500, and the Mbappe is at like 1.8K. There are more sales for Mbappe over this last 6-month time frame, but I think a lot of that has to do with Mbappe being in the World Cup and people physically going to sell because he's in the World Cup, and a lot more people holding their Holland because he's on pace to break the Premier League scoring record. I don't think it has to do with the supply as much for these specific PSA 10s, because as you can see here, what happened to my last slide? Oh, maybe I forgot to put it in there. Not as you can see. I'll just tell you, there's
Well,
like
there was Mbappe and those guys on it, but it said, "Does Aaron Rodgers retire?" on the comment box.
Oh, did you delete it then? Yeah, I must have just forgot to delete the comment box. Either way, my point here is that you look at this, Nate, and you probably say to me, well, Aaron, there's probably like 40 PSA 10 Holland refractors. Like, that's how it's over 2 times as much as the Mbappe. There's not. There's 125 Holland refractor Bundesliga PSA 10s, and there's 150 Champions League Mbappe refractor PSA 10s. So it's very confusing. Mbappe has dropped 53% in the year or in the last 6 months, and Holland's up 38%. Obviously, his start to the Premier League season helped a ton, as you can see by the huge spike. But like, it's confusing.
Also,
no doubt,
playing in Champions League.
So is Mbappe, though.
No, I know, but Holland had a fast start to that too, right?
Oh yeah, he did. But so is Mbappe. Mbappe's tied with him for most goals in Champions League right now, I think, for this season. Either way, I just think it's intriguing. I think if you want to collect Mbappe, it's a great time to look. I do think playing in League One, though, hurts, because if Mbappe scored 10 goals in League One, which he's close to, I think, throughout the start of the season, it does not mean nearly as much as if he scored 10 goals in the Premier League. So he does need to move here eventually, I think, to get the mad respect that Holland has, even though he's doing in the World Cup. It's just Mbappe is clearly a more versatile player than Holland, but Holland's finishing ability is absolutely insane. He scored a goal the other day in the EFL game against Liverpool, and he just like finishes everything. All of it goes in the back of that. It's insane. All right, Nate, you take Aaron Rodgers here.
All right. So Dave says, "Does Aaron Rodgers retire?" I will draw you over your eyes to the bottom right corner where it says yearly cash, $59,515,000. That is what he will be getting next year in 2023. I'm no betting man, but I would say if I were a professional athlete and I was about to make $59 million in 1 year, I would probably hang on for at least one more year, especially with what the Packers have shown at the end of this season, in which the offense has been clicking a little bit better. Rodgers has looked old and he's got the thumb issue and stuff, and I wish they would have just taken some time to let it heal, because I doubt it's healed yet. But I imagine if he's sitting there and he's saying, I can get another $59 million in my bank account next year, play with these young wide receivers that are playing better, offensive line that's healthy, and take one last shot at it, especially if they don't make the playoffs this year and it ends up being, somewhat of a disappointing year. I don't think he'd want to end on that. Now, if they somehow get to the playoffs and then make the Super Bowl, that might be a different story.
So I was going to ask you that. Now, dream scenario as a Packer fan is like, run the table. We're going into it just like 2010. Worst seed in the NFC. Win the Super Bowl. Does he call it quits right there? I'd say yes. What else does he have to do? He wins that second Super Bowl. He can invest his money however he wants. He's got plenty of money.
Yeah, I would think he would, but if, as we've learned, it's almost impossible to figure out what in the world Aaron Rodgers is thinking at any moment ever. So,
I mean, you could ask many Packers fans, and I think all of us would have said that he was not wanting to come back at all at the end of last season. Then boom, out of the blue, it's like no Devontae Adams, but guess what? Devontae Adams doesn't matter. I'm still coming back. I thought for sure that'd be the nail in the coffin.
Yep.
For his card prices here, so it's not been a good year if you bought Aaron Rodgers cards before this season or any time before this season, other than like maybe 10 years ago or 5 years ago. But his 2005 Bowman Chrome rookie auto of 199, a nice card of his for sure. Raw sold for $3,250 September 7th. Most recently, $1,800 December 26th. Quite the drop off in his cards. Now, if you like buying quarterbacks, you can make up for your money if it's worth buying the dip on that. I'm not gonna comment on that. But we'll see what happens.
Seems like an interesting opportunity.
It's interesting.
I don't
it's
know.
interesting.
I don't know what he can do. Like, he'd have to win a Super Bowl, and I don't know if you can win a Super Bowl with how this Packers team is currently built, especially because their salary cap situation is terrible next year. That being said, you add stats. You're not going to catch Tom Brady, but maybe you can become, second, third most touchdowns in NFL history, yada, yada, yada. Least amount of most touchdowns, the least amount of interceptions in the NFL history, and go from there. And
yeah, never know. But got a few comments here. One from Hector with the previous question. So Holland will score more goals, but Mbappe gets more accolades. What makes price go higher? Hector, I think there's a great current example we can look at, and I'm not saying these two ballers are going to be like Messi and Ronaldo when it's all said and done, but at least their profiles are pretty similar. Mbappe is much more similar to Messi in play style and in accolades. Obviously, Mbappe got his World Cup at 18 versus Messi at 35, but there's you can compare them in a little bit of a sense. And then Holland is very similar to Ronaldo, at least towards the middle to end of his career, where he's scoring a lot of goals. Not playing in the same way that Messi and Mbappe are, and doesn't win a World Cup, because Holland to win a World Cup would be an absolute miracle. There's only been 8 nations that ever win a World Cup, all of them very dominant, and none of them named Norway. So I think it's pretty comparable there. I do think that Mbappe, once all said and done, you'll look at his values and they'll be higher, but I think that there's going to be a very big stretch here in the next couple of years. If Holland's putting in like 50 goals a Premier League season, that's going to be crazy as market. And Norway will most likely make the World Cup with the expansion 2026. So that'll be exciting to see as well.
Cool.
Does Nate shave his beard completely at any point? And we got the Michael Scott gift there. Nope, don't like that. Dave asked that question.
I just asked my niece today if I should shave my beard.
And she said
no. So if you have both my wife saying, no, that's a terrible idea, and my parents saying that's a terrible idea, and you would probably say that's a terrible idea.
I don't need that beardless face on our videos.
Even my niece that doesn't even remember what I look like without a beard saying I shouldn't shave my beard, it's probably a sign that I should never remove this facial hair from my face.
Well, she probably thinks you're Santa, so there's that.
I should dye it white for Christmas.
You should. PokeRev did that. The guy live streams all the Pokemon breaks and stuff. I watched a video of his last night. He had like a Santa suit on his beard, pretty similar to yours. It was dyed white. It's kind of cool, or silver. Upstate sports cards. When will people use a rational mindset when buying non-proven players? The question is, when will that happen? I think it's going to take at least another year or two until people really.
This is the most insane thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. So this was a fun one this morning that I posted. I found this. I don't know. I just, Jokic has been playing so unbelievably well, which as a Giannis fan, it's hard to watch that keep on happening, knowing that third MVP could come. Giannis hasn't been doing this great right now. Either way, it led me to start to look up some Jokic recent sales on Card Ladder Pro. And then I was like, I know that the biggest Jokic sale of all time really isn't that big compared to other players like, Giannis and Tatum and all these other guys have had multi-$100,000 sales, millions for Giannis and LeBron. But Jokic's all-time high sale is $61,200. So it's pretty – I think that there's probably like a Jalen Green or someone recent that's card is sold for more. Lo and behold, Jalen Green's all-time high sale is actually the exact same amount, $61,200. These are both public sales. I gotta say, there's a good chance that the Jokic Prism Black 1-of-1 that sold privately or is traded privately to Chris from Card Ladder, that was probably a higher sale, I'm assuming, than this National Treasures non-patch auto. But publicly, these are the two highest sales. Now, they happen a year and a half apart. But to see a Jalen Green Nebula Prism 1-of-1, which while Nebulas are cool, they're not that cool to make that card $61,000 compared to Jokic and a hot market. June 2021, cards were hot. No matter how well Jokic has played, I still don't feel like this would sell for as much now in open auction.
And you got to remember, he'd won an MVP by this point already, right?
Oh yeah, he was coming off his best season of his career at that point.
And then maybe he was close to being named MVP. I don't know if he had been named MVP yet.
Either way, still the best season of his career.
Yeah, named another MVP afterwards. It's there's people that swear by Jalen Green. He's going to be the best player of the last like 15 years, yada, yada, yada. When it's all said and done, he's going to be one of the all time greats. I don't understand why. I'm not going to get into it. That being said, what he has shown early is not somebody I'd want to spend 61,000 on for the sake of projecting.
You got a little glitchy at me there, but you said spending $61,000 on the sake of something something.
Oh, sorry. Spending 61,000 on him, on Jalen Green, because I think he might become Kobe 15 years down the line when he hasn't shown Kobe, or not showing Kobe tendencies, but what he's doing, it's well, what have you done for me lately? And what he's done for us lately is not anywhere near Kobe level.
The only reason why this happened is because of what Hector said. Big men don't sell, exciting guards do. Long history of this, and Skydiv says, agreed, look at Cat. Now, what I will say is that Jalen Green can be exciting. The guy's got a ridiculous vertical. I saw the stat right before this live stream, Nate. Players from the 2021 draft, most of them have 3 or less games of 30 or more points. He has 14 games through his career so far of 30 or more points. He is a very boomer bust player. He might drop 11 one night. He might drop 40 the next night. Who does that remind you of? Kobe. Now, I'm not saying he will be Kobe. I'm not saying that at all. But people do like the boomer bust thing versus just Jokic goes out there every single night, not going to dunk on a guy and jump 50 inches in the air, but he'll just put in amazing performances every night, and it's just not as exciting. I guess it just doesn't translate as much to sales. I still think it's crazy. I still think it's nuts, but
he has 11 games of 16 or less points this year. He has 6 games of 30 or more points this year. I mean, he's been good. He's been good. Yeah. It's just he's averaging 21 points, yada yada yada. But still, it's so bold.
And he is under 21
for me.
He is under 21, but remember, Anthony Edwards also is under 21, and people are spending a lot of money in his market and strapped a lot. Yeah. P. Williams says, will 2023 be the year we see game-worn stuff gain value and Walmart patch cards liquidated? So what you see on the left there is a game-worn flawless RPA number out 25. BGS 9.5 of Luka Doncic that's sold in the December PWCC Premier Auction for $60,000. Now, if you look on the right there, that is the NT RPA of 99 with a worse patch, Nate, in my opinion. You got the 8 there. There's no 8 on Luka's jersey. It's not game-worn.
Really?
What?
I said, really?
Yeah, there's no 8. I can confirm that. But it's the same grade. It's the same grade, and it actually has worse subgrades too, for those that care about that. And it's sold for $100,000 more. And that jersey, for all we know, is, from Dick's Sporting Goods and thrown on Luka at the rookie premiere, ripped off him, and then cut up and put in his card. I think that price difference is astronomically crazy, no matter how much lineage there is with 2009 NTRPAs of Curry selling for $1 million, $500,000. I just can't get past a patch like that in a card, super ugly, 168 grand versus $60,000 for a flawless game worn. I kind of thought by now it already switched the trend, but it hasn't. Obviously, it's just happened in December.
Do you think if they made the patch window bigger on the flawless card, that it would be more expensive?
I mean, there's a chance it would be, but honestly, it's big enough to have a cool patch, and you see a 3-color 5-break patch there.
I agree. I'm just wondering, obviously you have the history, national treasures that you brought up, but sometimes I wonder, like immaculate trash, tiny window patches.
I like it. Nate thinks it's trash. We have a comment here from Hector. I think Fanatics will bring back game-worn patches. They pretty much own that market, which is true. Fanatics has a lot of access to game-worn memorabilia and different memorabilia. They have so many different memorabilia contracts that it could be good for cards. Go ahead, Nate.
I wonder if Fanatics will work out a deal where they make 2 jerseys per player per game, get them to change at halftime so that they can get 2 game-worn jerseys.
I think a lot of players do end up wearing multiple jerseys per game in some aspects. I don't know that to be fact, but I feel like that just happens. Or I've heard of that happening before. But either way, that'd be a good idea. Any way to get more game-worn patches, even the releases like Select, is good. Robbie says Immaculate is not at that level with NT and Flawless or even Impeccable. In my opinion, Robbie, I'd say Immaculate's above Impeccable because of the long-term history of Immaculate versus Impeccable. But I can understand why people like Impeccable because I love it. I mean, I love my Mason Mount RPA from that set. It's absolutely beautiful set. Dave says, does wax finally drop to pre-2020 levels? So Nate got a crazy example here, Nate. Why don't you talk this one through really quick?
This was my favorite thing I think I've ever found in my entire life. Also makes me very sad because I bought a lot of Topps Chrome boxes, ripped them all, and barely broke even after grading and holding for years. And this was in the height of selling in the hot card market.
Like singles, like Vlad
Yeah.
Guerrero Jr. Topps Chrome PSA 10 type of thing.
Yes. But back in February 28, 2019, the first thing I could find on Card Ladder was a pre-sale case of Hobby Jumbo for $930. That's $930 for 8 boxes. The last offer for a jumbo box was $900. So in 3 years, almost 4 years at this point, which is insane, you could either buy 8 boxes for the price you could buy one 4 years later.
No, we have to remember that there's reasons like why that box is $900.
No, I know. But if you
less supply, amazing rookie class,
yes, I get it.
but it's still crazy.
But it's just one of those things where do we think wax is going to drop to pre-2020 levels, considering you could have got a full case of Jumbo Hobby, which would have given you 40 autos for $930 with premium. Yeah, they hadn't played in the MLB as of yet, or they had just half a year. But Fernando Tatis, Vlad Guerrero Jr., Eloy Jimenez, Pete Alonso were all premium prospects, right?
Yeah.
$930. Like we're just never going to see that again.
And I would just take a different take on this too from what Dave said is that Dave could have meant more so like, hey, that when they release, like from manufacturer, from different retailers, versus looking at like a secondary market sale of.
No, and I'm not really using this as a. I'm using this as like as a exclamation point, but not like. I'm not saying that their boxes are going to, because this is solely $900, that these other boxes aren't going to be it. I'm just saying that look how ridiculously cheap this is. It's just funny that it's compared to this. It will never be, you can get a box of Jumbo Hobby for $120 or whatever.
And you also have to consider the overall print run amount of boxes available, because we have seen Topps Chrome Hobby boxes drop in price a lot, like for baseball, but there's so much more of them made now that you can't like this box, like Nate said, like Jumbo Hobby boxes of Topps Chrome, if it was a print in the same capacity, we never really sell $130 again type of deal. Like I totally get what Nate's saying. I also understand why Dave asked that question, because when you see some singles go back in price to like pre-2020 in some cases, you kind of be like, oh, well, shouldn't the wax? And yeah, it's hard because there's so many different print runs and all the different stuff. We'll see. I think that we will see some more realistic wax prices coming in the future.
I mean, right now, the last one on auction sold $261 on eBay
for 2021.
For 2022.
Sorry, 2022. I meant
for the stuff.
Yeah, so even at the point of release, it's way more, than 2019, and a worse rookie class and more printed. Well, rookie class is nice, but
yeah, way more printed. Maybe not a worse rookie class, not anymore after what has happened to Tatis
and way harder to pull the autos of the good players. I mean, that's probably a fact. Pulling Julio's like nearly impossible, I feel like.
Yep.
Adam, will the market floor be clearly evident and provide more buying opportunities? I'm going to go through this pretty quickly. Not that this isn't a valuable question. It is. I mean, the next few slides, because I have some slides kind of to show to maybe make us think more about this question. It's a good question from Adam for sure. So speaking about like a floor, it's like, well, how long does it have to take for a floor to be established for a card? How many sales have to happen? I was like, let me look at like a Julio Rodriguez PSA 10 refractor auto off $499. So there's been, somewhere around like 15 sales of this card in the last 6 months, and it's dropped 20% in the last 6 months. Obviously, it's pretty hot during the baseball season. Baseball season's done. Dropping 20% is not really unrealistic for this card. It's not like dropping 75% for some of these other guys. This to me seems like a normal trend with baseball season ending. Giannis, Prism Silver rookie, BGS 9.5. There's not many printed compared to today, not many at all. It's dropped 2% in the last 3 months. That seems like a floor as well. But guess what? All of it's super card dependent, player dependent. it's so hard to say where is the floor. Like it's nearly impossible to say that and to say like the floor is heroes, go buy stuff. It's always about buying what you like, buying what you believe in, and buying players you really want to watch on TV is what it comes down to attract their stats. Like this Luka 2018 Select Blue, 299 PSA 10 dropped 61% in the last 3 months, and clearly every single sale since then has sold for lower. Anthony Edwards, I talked about earlier, but his PSA 10 purple off 99 dropped 75% in the last 3 months. T-Wolf season has not went great, and the incredibly high preseason praises have dropped a lot on him. Even Justin Herbert, while he did just make the playoffs for the first time in his career, clinched it, which is good news. Bad news is that the guy's thrown 2 touchdowns in 4 games. His stats are not that great right now, and I think that there's some cause for concern for that team definitely this season. Like I'd be hard pressed to believe if they do a lot.
New head coach, all that, yada yada yada.
Is it a new head coach this year?
Wasn't it? Or was that 2 years ago?
I think it's 2 years ago. Last year was his first year, I think. Yeah, he used to coach at St. Thomas. He coached at St. Thomas for a year, I think.
This year went too quick.
I know. But either way, like, Nate, last year, Herbert's stats super big, like throwing tons of touchdowns, tons of yards. They missed the playoffs by that last game. This year, clinch it with 2 games left. He had a huge drop because his stats aren't there. And the floor really has a lot to depend, like I said, on each player. And this also comes up in another question from P. William about the Luka Doncic Prism Silver PSA 10. Has it found its bottom? You look at this graph here, and this is over the last year, and there's a lot of movement in it. Not necessarily like one direction, kind of down, kind of up, kind of down, kind of up again. But I kind of broke it down into some different timelines. In the last year, this card's dropped 44%. This Luka Doncic Prism Silver PSA 10. That shows, floor, not really. But in the last 6 months, it is down less than 1%. It's pretty static over the last 6 months. But over the last 3 years, 3.5 years, I believe that is just over 3 years, it's grown 200% since the start of the 2019 season. So after his rookie year, it's grown 200%. It's grown even more all time. And the thing for me with this card is that there's over 2,000 PSA 10s. It's very hard for me to believe that the floor has been met on a Luka card, even though that in the last 6 months, yes, it's only dropped less than 1%. So, like, you can kind of say, hey, it's at a floor right now because it hasn't moved a whole lot. True. I just do find it hard to believe with the more that people are moving towards spending $2,000 on something that's rare, something that's autographed, something that's from a really premium set. It's hard for me to believe that this card would stop at $2,000 when it used to be worth a lot less than that. $700 was the PSA 10 values, before the populations exploded. So we'll have to see. I do see kind of not drastic. I'd say gradual declines for this card over the next 6 months to a year. I think everyone can probably make their own opinion on that. But as of right now, in the last 6 months, it's only dropped 0.62%, which is seemingly a floor. But I think it could easily pick up and start dropping more from here, even with Luka's fantastic play. As we can see with this Select Blue PSA 10 in the last 3 months, it's very possible. Anything to add on that, Nate, or no?
Not really. I was actually looking at Justin Herbert and Aaron Rodgers stats real quick. Yep. Herbert, 21 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Rodgers, 24 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Like, I'm sitting here thinking Rodgers is atrocious this year, which he has mostly been pretty bad this year.
And broken thumb,
yada, yada, yada. But it is one of those things where it's like, yards are nice, but a lot of guys get yards. So, Herbert has almost 1,000 more yards than Rodgers. But at the end of the day, you want to be throwing touchdowns, you want to be limiting interceptions, and people will pay attention to your cards.
Definitely. Hector says, are silvers still key rookies to invest in, or just color a number now? It all depends on the year of the silver production. I'd say like buying a silver to necessarily invest in is not a winning proposition in many occasions, especially with the recent print runs. So I definitely stick to autos and colored and numbered relevant sets, relevant players. Or players you think they're undervalued right now that could have a good career or next year or two, whatever it might be. And that's what Robbie just said too. It's all about demand and population. There are more silvers than numbered usually. Other than Giannis, that 2013 Prism Silver is a very, very low number or low print run card, just like 2012 silvers. All right, before moving on to the rest of the questions, I want to point out tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern time, I am selling and breaking. This is 8 boxes of, in my opinion, the product of the year. Now, that's just an opinion. Obviously, everyone has their own opinion on that. But in my opinion, the product of the year, 2021-22 Merlin Chrome Hobby. We are selling these packs at 50% off. There's 144 packs. It's going to be just $6 per pack via the Buy It Now section on our Whatnot channel. you can hit the link in the bio or in the description of this video right now and get onto our channel to save the stream so you don't miss it. 4 p.m. Eastern time, 144 packs. The new Renaissance inserts are some of my favorite that Topps has ever made, honestly. While Ronaldo's second stint at Manchester United was not great, that card looks insane. The red numbered out of 10 with the menu kit and everything like that. And I'm super excited. We'll be doing a bunch of different singles giveaways as well for soccer cards. So please join 4 p.m. Eastern time on our Whatnot channel if you do want to participate in that. It will be limited to 1 pack per person to start. However, if there's not enough demand to have 144 unique buyers, there might be multiple packs. So you'll definitely have to hang on and see. Plenty of giveaways. Go ahead, Nate.
If there's only one person that shows up, can he buy all 144?
I mean, if there's only 1% that shows up, and that's it, then sure. But I don't. That's not going to be the case.
Nobody else show up. I'm showing up.
Yep. No, everyone show up. Please, everyone show up and make sure you are ready to grab a $6 pack. That's going to be an absolute blast. I cannot wait to see what we pull. Hopefully a match ball auto. I've not pulled one of them yet.
You got the match ball auto opportunities. You also have generally 2 to 3 color per box, plus some pretty nice inserts. So
yeah, I'm very excited. Nate's ripped more 2021 Merlin than I have, but I'm excited to dive into it. Robbie says soccer, huh? Great to see that you like soccer in the U.S. Robbie, you must be new to the channel. However, I please ask you to subscribe so you can make sure to see all of our soccer card content that comes out with all the rest of our market content. Andrew St. Craig Cards is our soccer podcast host. He just did like 20-some episodes or something like that in the last few months with the World Cup, and he'll be picking back up here in 2023 to do different domestic league coverage and Champions League coverage. I'm super excited. So Sports Cards 309 says, what's going to happen to the card market? Very general question. Nate, you threw a couple things on here. Explain to me what you did.
Yeah, I did. So, there's a lot of fear, obviously, in people for card market purposes. But I would like to direct your attention to the 3 cards on the right side. The first card is 1887, Allen and Ginter, like accredited for one of the first cards in the world, right? One of the first baseball cards. The next card is the first 1952, or the first top set ever with the mantle. And then the last card is the 2012 Prism first card with the Kawhi Gold. And the reason I bring these up is because people have a lot of fear of the unknown, but the card market has been around since 1887, and it's had innovations along the way, with Topps coming out in 1952, has been around forever, with Prism coming out, or Panini Prism, yada, 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 coming out in 2012, and it will continue to be here. If it's been here since 1887, it's not just going to go away in 2023. It will continue to be here, and it will continue to evolve, especially with fanatics. So I understand the fear of the unknown, especially when it comes to economics and where's the money going and stuff, but you're not going to wake up and there's not going to be a card market. There will always be a card market. So if you just stick with it, you'll be just fine.
Yeah, I mean, I've lived through this for 15 of the 24 years of my life, which is more than half, and it's changed a lot. It's changed a lot in 15 years, but like Nate said, it's always been here. There's always been new innovations. There's always been new releases. There's always been people collecting cards. I've went to many nationals throughout those 15 years, and there's always been people showing up to those nationals, no matter if the market's in a lull, if it's super hot. There's always people going. There's always people going to card shows, and it's just, you just got to adjust with the times, and everyone's going to deal with it. No one's going to get around what this year brought or what next year brings, and I hope that everyone's excited for what Fanatics does, because I think it's going to be extremely exciting. Seeing the marketing opportunities that they're going to provide to the car market and stuff, and the new product opportunities too. I think that could be really cool, as mentioned before with the game worn stuff. Hector said, I just need to understand complicated soccer leagues and tournaments to get more into it. Hector, I have to say, make sure you go on our YouTube channel or our podcast if you're more of a podcast guy, and listen and watch Andrew's SlabStox FC videos he's been doing for us. It's pretty easy to see the thumbnails, and it's also all on a playlist. You'll learn a lot very fast. Kawhi must be the wild card. Never know with this funny guy. And it says Robbie. And then Skydiv says, very familiar with that 1887 Jimmy Shoestring Phelps is my favorite of that set. Skydiv, I know nothing about 1887 Allen Ginter. I know a lot about some modern stuff, obviously, but that just goes to show you can't know everything.
Hey, real quick side note. I just got an email from a guy I know whose uncle is a card collector.
Are we buying 1887 A&G?
No. But he shared along my information with him because he wanted to get in contact with me, and he collects top sets from 1952 all the way up to 2022.
I
Like, I
love
feel
it.
like most guys are like, I'm vintage, man. I don't care about this new crap. And then you got people that are like, I'm just modern. I don't know anything about vintage. And then this guy's just like, 1952, yeah, I'd like those cards. 2022, yeah, give me that set too. It's
I
awesome.
love that. That's awesome.
And
That's really
Topps
awesome.
Heritage from 2000 to 2022 or
There's some
whatever.
really cool old Topps Heritage cards. Jason says soccer is awesome. Love watching and ripping at my son. I hope soccer explodes in the U.S. Is definitely increased a lot in viewership and excitement here. No doubt about it. In the last 3 years, I'm sure in the next 5 years it's going to be even more. And Nate, once again, just to that point, like it does really go to show that everyone collects different, right? Like you think that people collect one way, but no, there's definitely someone out there that collects a different way.
Yeah.
You never know what you're gonna run into.
Who would have thought? I mean, I saw his list. It was 50s, 60s, 70s, and all of a sudden I'm going to the end and it's 2022 tops. I'm like, who would have known?
Hey Nate, you got that Jeremy Pena rookie?
Right? Isn't that crazy?
I know, right?
Dude collects Mickey Mantle and or collects Carly Yastrzemski and Mike Yastrzemski. Right?
That's wild. That's wild to put it in that perspective. Um, Q and not Matt asked, "What are the positives and negatives of selling bulk if I can't afford high dollar cards?" Now, this is very open-ended questions. Like, what's high dollars? What's bulk? Is it like 10-cent tops cards? Is it like $5 to $20 cards? There's a million different ways you can slice this up, but very easily, a few of the positives is this. One, your risk is way lower if you're dealing with like $5 to $20 cards. Obviously, it's all relative to what your budget is, but your risk is still lower. Little times if you buy a card for $5 or $10, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, gotta scramble, figure something out if it goes down to $6 versus like 6,000 down to like 2,000 or something like that. Now the negatives is it takes a lot of time and there's a little payoff to start. It's very hard to like to start if you're starting like $20 and say, okay, I want to go from $20 to $100. It takes time, but guess what? Everyone's kind of been there. I've been there. Nate's been there. Probably 90% of the people watching have been there. Where you do start with $10 or $20 and try to find a way to build that up to 100 to build your PC to the next and the next and the next thing. And I think there's a million different ways you can slice it up and do it. Now, I just want to share really quickly one of my experiences recently. Now, this isn't going to work for everyone. If you can't travel to shows, first of all, that's a way you can spend, small amounts of money and find what you want pretty easily and maybe get some good deals along the way. But when I was in Toronto, I bought a ton of different raw soccer cards and some hockey cards, and maybe I didn't buy any baseball, I don't think. But either way, I bought some raw cards in a nice deal from a few different vendors, dealers, and I dropped them off at the PWCC booth for a new raw card marketplace. And some of them ended up doing super well. It was good timing on this Vardial rookie here from Finance out 250. So for $22 on Sunday night, I bought it for like a couple dollars in a big lot. But that's not to say every card will do that. Some cards are going to always sell under, some cards are going to sell over. It's just a bigger sample size at that point. So I'd say start small, $25, $50. Maybe if you can go up to 100, buy some cards of players you like that you think can, progress. And especially for Nate, like Nate's done this a million times with baseball players that are back end top 100 guys out of the top 100, buy some mojos or megas of them. Boom, they're top 50. Then Nate was like $3 to $10. Sometimes like Comsi, I think you did that a couple times.
Yeah, I mean, I made a lot of money on guys that didn't even make top 100 lists. Everson Pereira just got hot.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes it just takes a little bit of research on Twitter and you can find the right guys and buy them cheap and
just works out.
Grow.
Exactly. So like that, just similar here, Vardial had a great tournament for Croatia. Defender, not many people think much of it beforehand. Buy for a couple dollars, plays well, people notice, sells for a lot. But this is also the same Bobby from earlier that brought up the lack of rookies, and then Nate threw in a slide here that I think is just showing that there's many other sports than just NBA and NFL.
Yep, basically, with the lack of big name rookies coming out of NFL, what keeps the hobby going? I mean, there's money to be spent elsewhere, and people that like the NFL might also like hockey or tennis or Formula One, and they might not spend their money on football this year, but they might spend their money on baseball and vice versa.
Definitely. Knowledge Power asks a question. Are investment groups still buying up rare cards? That's a pretty general question, one of which I'm not sure the answer to. I mean, there's always people out there trying to acquire rare cards, obviously. people combining together to buy bigger cards, and if they could just buy them by themselves. Back 2 years ago, fractional platforms were all racing to get the rare big cards to try to put on their apps to sell fractional shares of. I just am not in that world at all, so I couldn't really answer that question with any real knowledge. But count same as knowledge power. But I just want to bring it up and not ignore a question. Global says smash that like. I appreciate that a lot, Global. And I am right there with you, Hector. Want to attend a few games next World Cup. Have to start saving now. I am very excited about that. And also, I've heard that I think Copa America is going to be hosted here, which really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But in 2024 in the U.S., if that's true, I'm going to try to find a way to go watch Messi play for Argentina. That would be insane.
That would be
Most
amazing.
likely his last tournament. That'd be crazy. Stan, what? And also, it actually does make a little bit more sense because I heard USA is joining that tournament, which is going to be awesome. So I'm very excited about that. Stan asked, what is your top undervalued MLB rookies for 2023? Nate's got some stats up here.
I do, and I need to pull up my calculator quick. Okay, it's still there. Good. So here you go. 2022, this player was worth 2.4 wins above replacement by Baseball Reference in 213 at-bats. In those same 213 at-bats, he was worth 2.6 wins above replacement by Fangraphs. That's the white bar above. His projections for next year is 3.3 wins above replacement. So keep that in mind. And you can see his stats. Average 254, on base 325, slugging 535. He had a great year. Go to the next slide. If you extrapolate out to 600 at-bats, his statistics, or played, wait, go back. Was it at-bats? Yeah, okay, so 600 at-bats, if you extrapolate that out, his wins above replacement on Fangraphs, 2.6 times by the 600 at-bats comes out to 7.3.
That's big.
You notice that is a top 10 list where I've cut off the number 1. And number 2 is 7.4. Number 3 is 7.3. Number 4 is 7.1. And the names are Manny Machado, Nolan Arenado, Paul Goldschmidt, Freddie Freeman. If you round out the top 10, there's Francisco Lindor, Yordan Alvarez, Mookie Betts, Jose Altuve, and JT Realmuto. That's quite the list of names here. Do you know
number one? Is number 1 Ohtani?
It was
or Judge.
It was probably Judge. Fangraphs has it split up where Ohtani's offensive WAR would have been in here, but it's not his pitching WAR. When you add it together,
for sure, Judge would be the top because Judge wouldn't be outside the top 10. So
yeah, correct. Go to the next slide if you haven't taken your guess yet, and it is Jazz Chisholm. His top Chrome Auto, $30. Yordan Alvarez, who obviously had a great year, one of the best hitters in the league. I get that, $105. Now, you can't exactly extrapolate it out and be like, oh, he's going to continue on that trend the entire way. But it is just a way to show you that Jazz Chisholm was on a really good pace. If he kept on that really good pace, he would have been one of the best players in the league. Not saying that he would have kept that pace, but he could have. And yet his auto is less than a third of the price of Yordan.
And he plays shortstop in Yordan's DH.
Yeah.
But Yordan's on a better team, won the World Series.
Correct. And Yordan had huge moments. It's just one of those things where, like, from a talent perspective, Jazz has been really good. He hasn't been overly healthy. He wasn't healthy last year. But if he stays healthy and puts up the numbers he did last year, we're talking about one of the better shortstops in the league. And yet, $30 a base on him.
I wonder how Ben's doing. Pretty exciting for him. I don't know how much he's still holding, but never forget that guy and Mikey Slabs.
And Hector's not wrong. Stats matter, but you have to consider team and hype. There's also part of me that watches what the Marlins do with the Yelich's of the world and the Stantons of the world and the JT Realmutos and Pablo Lopez in a little bit. And it's like, does anybody actually think Jazz Chisholm is going to finish his 6 years of team control with the Marlins? Because I sure don't. I don't at all. And so I think he's going to end up on a much bigger team by the time year 5, year 6 roll around.
Imagine that personality on a bigger team that gets more media coverage. Because he already gets decent media coverage for being on the Marlins.
Yeah. So you buy in cheap at $30, and even if it doesn't do much for the next couple of years, if he puts up good stats, he will get traded, and then I expect it to pop.
Crollo was hoping you were going to say Jose Ramirez, I think.
Oh, he's wildly undervalued as well, but we get that is the time period that, those 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017 cards just
People just don't have
Not
the
2017 with Aaron Judge, but
2016 though. Pretty much the cutoff, Corey Seager and stuff. Global sports car investor Aaron, what's your thoughts on the issues at Red Bull with Perez and Max? I don't know if there's been more that's came out since the end of the season. Sounds like everything's kind of chill with them now. They got Ricardo in there as a reserve driver. Honestly, Sergio Perez is pretty disappointed the second half of the season. I wouldn't be surprised if they go for another option, not next year, obviously, but sometime the year after that, and we'll see what happens there. But maybe Max, he is very good, obviously, but like Perez was pretty far off the pace, even with some of the like Mercedes and Ferrari drivers towards the end of the year. Dave, this is the last question. When will Season 4 Stranger Things set release from Zero Cool? So these were the promo cards that released at the Nationals. Our first look at the new Stranger Things set. There used to be Stranger Things sets released in 2018 for Season 1, 2019 for Season 2. They had like an autograph collection release in 2020 along with the Upside Down set, although that was not a Season 3. That was a S1 and S2 combined. No Season 3 set ever released, which is kind of sad to me because I really like Season 3. But Season 4, you see the promos there. That's an 8.5 at max from the National. It was actually mine, which I ended up selling because I have multiple of these. I got 9.5 as well right now. But I think it's probably going to release end of Q1 2023. I guess that's what I'm hopeful for. I don't know for sure. I'm hopeful for end of Q1 2023. I know that we're all kind of hoping for 2022. But we still are waiting for obviously the Butcher Billy boxes to release, the art boxes that they list on this Netflix shop. Either way, the hobby or the real set, I'm hopeful for Q1. This set's going to be big for anyone that doesn't know. These were the redemption cards that were pulled out of the National promo packs. There was only like a handful of redemption boxes made. I wonder if this is even going to be what the boxes actually are. And I bought one of these redemptions for the sole purpose of I feel like these are not going to be what the releases on Zero Cool. I feel like this is going to be like a promo, like way better type of box. My ideal is, Nate, I hope that they give a box to the redemptions that's an autograph of every character, kind of like what they did with the PSG box set, where it's like an autograph of every player. Autograph of every character would be insane. Now it would be way more than $1,000 box at that price if it happened to be that. If it's the exact same thing, the releases on Zero Cool cards in 2023, then it'll be less than $1,000, I'm sure. But either way, the redemptions were selling big. They expired 12/6, so I did email in my code for the redemption. I thought of that in 12/4. Can you imagine 12/7 comes and my email is not marked 12/6 or before? Man, I'd be really bummed about that. But I'm very excited for this set. Yeah, no, I'd be devastated. I mean, I got it for less than $1,000, but it's still expensive. And the 2019 Season 2 Max Auto recently sold for $416, Orange Job $99. Now, I do have a few of these, just want everyone to know. Probably not selling them at this moment. Going to wait for more so closer to the release of Season 4 boxes in Q1 2023, or for like Season 5 TV to come out. Haven't really decided that yet. Either way, cards are still selling pretty decently well. And I hope to see the set released soon. Hector says, what do you think of Zero Cool Dutch auction method? Good for the hobby going forward with Fanatics. I think so. I think it gives the power to the buyers. Obviously, like, a lot of people who are really, really, I guess, rich could go in and bid really high amounts on things like they did with the V Friends, and they released the Jackass for the second releases. But now the third release will most likely be the Stranger Things set. We'll see what it does. I mean, I don't know how many boxes they're making for Jackass. They made 10,000. For V Friends, they made 1,000. So it's going to be very different to see what happens. And at least what we know is that the pricing comes down to what people are willing to pay. That's a big difference than just a distributor putting out a price on their website and then marking it sold out, but then putting it really expensive again. And that's I don't like that. I don't dig that at all. So at least this is a different way to do it. I think it's good for the hobby and high-end releases. I don't think I don't know how it'll work for like really general releases if they'll do that. Really quick, last thing to point out here for this week. So we have the Merlin Chrome 50% off packs coming up tomorrow, Wednesday, 4 p.m. Eastern time, but Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to do a fun little billiard collection, Pixar single sale. A lot of people have been interested in our Pixar breaks. I have a sealed case left. Kind of want to hold the sealed case for a little bit still, but I have some fun singles that we'll be offering and some free cards as well, some giveaways. I love these Pixar cards. My family loves them. A lot of people love them. A lot of people are talking to me about them in messages and stuff. So I figure it's a fun way to kind of connect over some things we all love and maybe do some single sales. So if you all want to join that, feel free. Whatnot Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern time. Join me there. Jason says, great content, guys. Love the hobby insight. We appreciate you a lot. Nate, anything to end off 2023 here? 2022. End off 2023 going into 2023. Sorry.
Personally, had a great year talking cards with all you guys. and Aaron on here, and I'm
And
just
girls.
and girls. Sorry, and I am very excited to just continue on in that path, 2023.
Oh yeah, I'm freaking psyched. We'll have our Sunday PWCC live coming back. The PWCC weekly auction show number 49 is this upcoming Sunday, or 50, and we'll be back live again. Apologies for anyone that was hoping to join us on Christmas Day for that live. Nate and I both took that day as a one day of the 365 days in the year to say that's the one day we won't go live, but we're looking forward to coming back for sure on Sunday, New Year's Day, and celebrating the return of PWCC Lives in 2023 with you all. Just want to say thanks again for an excellent year. Without all you, we definitely wouldn't be here, and just absolutely love doing this. And I hope you all find value in the content. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us. If you want more content, obviously come back to our YouTube shows, Nate's Daily Slabs in the morning, every morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Time, or follow us on Instagram at SlabStox. Lots of content every day. We appreciate you all, and we will see you all next in 2023 here on the SlabStox YouTube channel.
See you guys.